Welcome back to another Scout Report, and today we're going to be looking at a new gem that's coming out of Palmeiras, and that is Vitor Reis. Now, before you get on to us about his pronunciation, and listen to Google Translate. I know you've got to take that with a pinch of salt, but that is how they're pronouncing the name in their native country, so I'm just going to roll with it. So if you are new here, make sure you hit that like button. Let's start supporting this channel. Make sure you share this content, and make sure, if you enjoy this video at the end, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So what makes me qualified to talk about Vitor Reis? Well, as you can see from the image on the screen, I've been talking about him since early 2023, and I said he was a gem to remember because he was outstanding for Palmeiras' youth teams and captained every single side that he played in. And since making his professional debut, he's just proven his talent on the biggest stage. He was born on the 12th of January 2006, which makes him 18 at this current moment. He's a right-footed centre-back who stands at 6'1", but he can play either side. He can play on the left or the right, as we've seen with Palmeiras. So why am I doing this report? Because I've got no doubt Vitor Reis will end up in Europe at some point, whether it's next season or the season after. Soon he will be playing for a club in Europe. He'll be following young defenders like Murillo, who joined Nottingham Forest, Beraldo, who joined PSG, or Pedro Lima, who joined Wolves. No doubt he's going to follow in their footsteps. So firstly, we're going to look at what type of defender he is, and then we're going to look at his ability on the ball, and then we're going to talk about any weaknesses, if there is any. So Vitor Reis is a player that leads by example. One of his biggest strengths is his tactical intelligence and his positioning. He brings a calmness and composure and abundance to his team's defence. He's extremely comfortable in possession, but he's also confident in his ability to retain control of any situation out of possession, even when he's exposed. That assuredness goes a long way in today's modern day football because most teams play with a high line. So having that composure and that ability to track back, track runners, and just be calm in his own situations is extremely valuable. Now, he might not be the most physical, bulldozing type defender, but he's extremely imposing figure in the heart of the defence. And I mean by that, by his tactical intelligence. He's very rarely caught out of position or trying to run back and catch up with play. And he's almost never forced to go to ground because of his intelligence off the ball. Instead, he's got an unbelievable reading of the game and he anticipates danger. He has trust in his own judgment when to move forwards and steal the ball ahead of an opponent, or when he likes to track back, give himself 5 yards, and be calculated when he makes a tackle. Now, the bedrock of his defensive game hinges on sharp positioning and rapid decision making. This is epitomised by his exceptional anticipation, allowing him to preempt and neutralise any attacks. So this ability to position himself very acutely gives him a solid base to work with. He's extremely tentative and constantly checking his nearby surroundings. This ensures he knows where to be situated in relation to his teammates, but most importantly, his opponents. And this allows him to be extremely clever in the way he positions himself to manoeuvre opponents away from play or to steal the ball. Vitor Reis is extremely athletic, he's deceivingly quick in acceleration, he's got a sharp change of direction, and he can eat the ground up with these longer strides. Now, depending on what's happening in play in front of him, depends on his defensive instincts. So, for example, when he's defending against high or long balls, he likes to get touch tight, he likes to unsettle his opponents and beat them in a one-on-one challenge. Now, if the other team are looking to play through the lines and play to the striker's feet, this is where he's more calculated. He waits and uses a step tackle, so he adopts a low body position, he jockeys opponents, and just waits for the correct moment of forcing them into a mistake or a miscontrol where he can use a step tackle to retrieve the ball. But why he does this, it's extremely intelligent because if the opponent manages to push the ball either side of him, he's quick to react and adjust. And if they do manage to turn, he knows he's got his long strides to lunge back and block any attempted goal. He's extremely skilled at poking away possession away from opponents or just stealing the ball, using his upper body strength to move his opponents off the ball But his prominent technique when dispossessing the opponent involves him wrapping his legs around the opponent but approaching them from the side. This is extremely effective when opponents trying to receive the ball on the half turn. This ensures that any opponent can't turn freely or allow them to create any separation from him. In doing this just impedes the opposition's attacks or the individual to gather any momentum. He's extremely calculated, but once he duels, he's extremely aggressive. One of my favourite things about Vitor Reis is his composure, even when he goes out wide. When he's isolated in one-on-one defending, he's extremely intelligent. He's extremely calculated in how he defends in one-on-one situations. And that's why he's ranked so highly. The percentage of dribblers tackled is 65.2%. That just goes to show he's not afraid to defend in wide areas or be isolated. Now, when in wider areas, he adapts the same sort of defensive skills as he does when they're looking to play into a striker's feet. It's a low body position, he jockeys, he waits to make a step tackle. He doesn't dive in too early, and he allows the winger to take a touch before he uses his body to try and acutely put himself in between the ball and the man, so then he can reclaim possession. Now, one of my favourite things about Vitor Reis, and it's quite rare in a young footballer, is he adapts his style when he's closer to his own goal or in his penalty area. It's more of a reactive approach. He adapts the same initial pressure, but he recognises that there's a bigger risk of making an error. Therefore, he reduces the frequency of the step tackle and looks to block or intercept instead. Now, another positive about Vitor Reis is he uses his height extremely well. And as you can see from the stats, he's extremely effective in the air. He wins the vast majority of his aerial duels. And remember what it said about getting touch tight on the longer balls? Well, he does this when looking to win duels in the air as well. This means that opponents very rarely win flick-ons against him. But he's also extremely smart in the air as well. He's very adept at controlling his header to make sure he finds a teammate, whether that be a central midfielder or just somebody where he can secure possession. But the positives to this are he's also a defensive security when defending set pieces or just general crosses coming into the box. It also makes him a huge threat in attacking set pieces. As we've seen, he scored on his Palmeiras debut by a header. What's he like in possession? Well, one of the biggest things about Vitor Reis is he's so comfortable in possession. Right, left foot, it does not matter. And what I like about him is the majority of his touches come in the middle third. That just goes to show his ability to step out of defence when needed. So as I've just mentioned, in possession, he's extremely comfortable and he has an impressive passing range. He can be that body for a reassuring presence for midfielders that want recycled possession, but he's excellent when he plays progressive passes out of defence. He's extremely confident and happy to play vertical balls into midfield or chip longer passes from deep. But the beauty of it, he does it with extreme accuracy. In possession, one of his biggest strengths is spotting runners of teammates. He's so good at just moving the ball into space or chip longer balls in behind the opposition defence for attackers to run onto. This is extremely effective in quick counter-attack situations or just bypassing the press in quick transitions. So when you've got a striker who likes to move and is excellent with his movement, Vitor Reis, that's a dream for him. When in possession, he's extremely valuable because he never forces anything. He waits for the right opportunity. If that means he needs to move 5 yards in midfield, he comfortably can do so. He's extremely sensible and calm in possession, and he's remarkably calm and reads the game before it happens. Therefore, you'll never see him flustered under intense pressure. Even from his debut or from his youth days, you can see how comfortable he is in possession. He's a neat and tidy passer who operates with an element of caution, but not so reckless that it turns over the ball. When in possession or moving into midfield, he backs himself to beat the opponents, and he uses feints and altering his pace to do so. His two-footed nature opens up further passing possibilities to beat the opponent's press. So when the opportunity presents itself, he's got a vast range of styles and techniques that he can progressively pass the ball out of defence with. Now, this is why he's become so valuable at senior football, because given how often he steals possessions or forces turnovers, he's regularly the player in possession at the point of a turnover. This allows him to play his longer balls or accurate passes, or just progressively play the ball through the lines. This just allows Palmeiras to take advantage of any dangerous counter-attacks or transitions. I mean, the stats alone just prove just how accurate his passes are. He's sitting above the 90% mark for short passes and medium passes. He's completing 70% of his long passes. He's averaging 2.5 passes into the final third per 90. These are extraordinary numbers for an 18-year-old just with a handful number of senior appearances. Now, I don't often do this with young footballers, but I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say Vitor Reis is one of the most complete young footballers you'll find. He's got all the elements to his game to be a hallmark defender. Now, there is one thing that I have noticed. At times he does let runners go off on his blind side. Sometimes he does get too attracted to the ball, and that can come with inexperience. So I do think once he gathers more experience, once he starts playing alongside more experienced players, that'll come in natural. As he develops and gathers more experience, you'll start to notice that he'll adapt a more open body position, not be drawn towards the ball. You'll look at where his man is. He's extremely tentative, but sometimes he just lacks that little bit. Another thing I would mention is probably his physicality, but I just think that's just because he hasn't fully developed yet. You've got to remember, this boy's only 18 years old. Playing as a defender at 18 years old, you won't be naturally developed, so you will be often caught out in duels or what have you, but his intelligence often counteracts that. If you've liked this video, make sure you hit that like button to support this channel. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you subscribe. That's the important thing, because I like those numbers to be high. So once again, I just want to say I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching.